Hi, everybody. Welcome along. I'm just going to get the welcome along to Trader Talk Radio for today. Gosh, according to me, it's the 1st of November 2020 as yet another month goes screaming past in this crazy, insane world that we live in today. Welcome along. Today, we're going to be looking at this market and seeing if we can get a bit of a read of how things look pre the US election. Yes, for anyone that doesn't know, the US election is Tuesday, November the 3rd. We're expecting to see a pretty interesting market as we prepare for this stuff. I'm going to see if I can get Zoom to do the right thing for me here. And let me share my screen. Welcome along, everybody. Good to have your company. It is a little bit early, and we're a little bit earlier starting than usual today. And there may be some juggling of start times over the next few days and over the next few weeks. So in the end, we are trying to juggle a team that comes from all around the world, gives their time for free to join you guys and to help you guys. And one of the things that we are trying to do is to make sure that we can get as many of them in as is humanly possible. Our guest today,
doing okay, mate. Yes, not too dusty.
Good bamboo growing weather over there.
Mate, glorious at the moment. We've actually got nighttime temperatures that have climbed above freezing for the first time this year. So I'm quite happy.
Mate, it's one of the things that's definitely changed for me over time, Geoff, is since you've lived in Tasmania and I've heard a bit more about it, my interest in living there has just disappeared completely.
No, we're hoping everybody's the same. Cool, buddy. It'd be really awesome if everyone had the same opinion, because you can all stay out. Leave it all to us.
Yep, fair enough, mate. Fair enough. We should all love the place, and the bamboo is growing, right?
Yeah, mate, going hard. Well, not hard, but it's performing well. Let me put it that way.
Nice, mate, and welcome along. Shukri, good to have you in the room as well. I'm going to be doing some market analysis soon, and Alexis should be joining us in about 10 minutes to talk fundamentals. PH joining us soon after that. Shukri will be in for crypto, and you'll be in for gold, the whole team. One of the things that we are most proud of is we have an amazing team, a huge group of traders who come in and help us out on this stuff. Look, if you have any questions, please post them. Bamboo Gold, yes, very much. I'm here, but no powers. Okay, Mike, can you give Alexis some powers, please? Hey, Helen, how you doing? Bamboo Gold, it indeed is. Happy 12th birthday, Bitcoin. Bitcoin is only 12. In fact, to be honest, I find it hard to believe that it's been around that long. That is quite amazing to me. Look, I do want to let you guys know, 21st of November, we're doing some work, maybe 21st, 22nd of November. Some announcements coming not far away, but we are looking at doing a multi-speaker event. Look, book the time. We are talking about getting an investment analyst from one of Europe's, not an investment analyst, the head analyst for one of Europe's biggest funds to come and spend some time with us that day. He's on an ECB monetary advisory board. We're talking about the real deal. He'll be coming in, just organising times with him. They're doing a little bit of work at his back that weekend. So we're just trying to juggle in exactly when he'll be with us. And we will have plenty more coming in. It's a multi-speaker event. We're going to have it, the New Opportunities Expo, I think we'll call it. We will have Justin in at some point. We will have Julian, and we will have Ainslie in. We've got an options guy coming in. Look, we have got a bunch of people coming in that you guys haven't as yet met. We've got a guy coming in talking about some building a business and how to get some help on that when you start. It's going to be a huge event by the look of it, and we are not far away from getting our ass into gear and getting it sorted out. Welcome along, Alexis. Nice to have you in the room as well. Hey, PH, how you doing?
Hey, good, Paul. Good.
Mate, let me do a quick run through some charts. We'll get to Alexis and then we'll get to you, and we will go from there. Guys, we've talked a bit about this over the last few weeks. We talked some time ago about the Bitcoin triangle and the break and how this bar set up the range. And the break of the top of this bar that set up the range was the signal long that we were always going here and we were always going here. We now have another bar setting up a range, this Tuesday bar. This Wednesday sell, and this Wednesday sell is really important in the market. It's something that is different because it's uncorrelated. Often when you see these sells, honestly, it's a US dollar strength or a US dollar weakness move, but this move is not. And we'll need to watch it a little bit. We'll talk a bit more about that later on. For mine, Bitcoin inside this range is range bound. And in all honesty, I expect it to stay around. Look, it's quite volatile getting rid of the election, but as these election results get clearer, my expectation is, in simple picture, that if the election result is not clear, if it's contestable, then I would expect many of these markets to sell off, which is weird because when they sell off, they'll actually strengthen the US dollar, which is a sort of backward thing to do on the back of a ridiculous election result. But that's part of being the central currency for the world. Now, if we get a clear result, then I think Bitcoin will be heading up. And the same goes for a number of these. So Bitcoin sold off on Wednesday. The NASDAQ sold off on Wednesday. We called this as well last week, didn't we? We talked about the bottom of this area here being a selling area, and away she went. And again, for mine, right now, I talked last week about the fact that I wouldn't be surprised to see us down around the $10,700 mark before the election. And I'll keep that as a possibility. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see some selling. And we'll talk about what this selling is. We've gone through the rest of these currencies. S&P didn't do us much good on the third Monday of the month and continues to look very weak. And again, we're looking for short-sized targets on this at the moment. Gold sold on Wednesday, sitting between this 100-day moving average and this monthly pivot. Trade of the election for mine. This really is. I will have, and you guys, if you're going to do this, remember to sit inside your risk rules and be really careful. This stuff is a little more dangerous, but as long as I'm awake and I can see it during the election stuff, we're doing a live election show on Wednesday, I'll be short below this bar and I'll be long above this bar going in, depending on where we are, and looking for a breakout. The one thing I think is very unlikely, I can't see this stuff being around these levels post-election. If we have an outcome, we'll be heading up, I think. And if we have indecision, we'll be heading down, I think. But what we won't be doing is sitting in the indecision area on the chart. Gosh, XTI. We talked about this range. We talked about this range, which is this old gap. Amazing to me, this gap come back into play and has controlled the oil market for some time. We took the trade from the bottom to the top, from the top to the bottom, from the bottom to the top, from the top to the bottom. We saw the break, and we see when it broke that 34.70 would come into focus. Gosh, we must have got close. Watch that low, 34.93. Didn't quite get to our 34.70. Again, I think we possibly will before the election. And these charts have a real sameness. Note the same thing. Sold on Wednesday. Euro dollar. Euro dollar. Same thing. We've been talking about this for some time. As soon as we got a 4-hour close below this range, we were heading down and targeting the 116.30 area, or well on the way to that. And again, expect to be there before the election for mine. Dollar yen will get out of this monthly chart and we will get back to a daily chart. Although the monthly chart does show just how strong this level of support is around it at the moment. And yeah, another one, dollar yen, not so big, but still sold Wednesday. Here's interesting. Indices sold, gold sold, Bitcoin sold, bonds sold down, everything went down. And what that makes it is a non-correlated move. Normally when something goes down, something goes up. When everything goes down, there's only one likely reason for that. And this is people taking their money out of the market. And they're not putting it back in anywhere. They're going to cash. And they're going to cash because of this concern. And I think this heavily overhyped concern. I could be wrong. And I'm not an expert in this, but the suggestion that Donald Trump just won't go if he loses. And at the end of the day, there's due process. The next president's not due to be sworn in until mid-January, 20th of January for the next president. Someone could look that up and let me know. But I expect we'll have a result before that. And at the end of the day, if you lose, eventually someone comes and kicks your sorry ass out. And if you win, you get to stay. And I think we will have an election result well before the next president of the US is due to be sworn in. I think all of this stuff will blow through pretty quickly in the very, very end of that. Going to check on the questions. We seem to have a lot of questions. Maya's on Facebook and Maya's in YouTube, and she will let you know. That's not quite right. Hang on, let me see if I can get signal break correct. Key signal break correct. Nice. Geoff birthday. Is it Jeff's birthday as well?
Yeah, no, not sure what it's about. I'm on the 25th, but you can all wish me happy birthday in 3 weeks. That'll be good.
Mate, I think that gives you pretty close to the same birthday as Boo. Although somehow everyone else gets a day and Boo gets a week. I don't quite know how that works.
Yeah.
Hi, Lexi PH. Bitcoin not on Fusion. Yeah, Bitcoin is on Fusion. It's not on the ATW accounts with Fusion. I'm on Fusion and I have Bitcoin because this is my own account. And if you open your own account, I chose not to put the cryptocurrency into the ATW accounts on Fusion because I don't want to sit in the risk. Sing Bank allowing crypto now, Bit, Sing, Hong Kong, dollar, yen. Okay. Good on gold then. I didn't even have. Gosh, there's a lot of stuff here, Helen. I'm not sure I can read all of this. PH birthday. 2 7-year-old sorry asses then. 2 70-year-old sorry asses then. Is that me and Geoff? I don't know. I'm a bit lost in some of this stuff. PH's birthday. PH, is it your birthday today?
Not yet. Soon.
Are you and Geoff? What are you guys? Are you Cancers? What are you guys around this time?
Cats.
No, I'm a Saggy.
You're a what? Sorry.
Sagittarian.
You're a Sagittarian, and PH, you're
I'm
a
a
Sagittarian.
Scorpion.
That doesn't
My
surprise me.
birthday comes before Geoff's.
There you go, mate. We're going to be celebrating that not far away. Look, as I was saying, we are doing a election show on Wednesday. Look, I think we're going to open up around 1:30 in the afternoon. Sing was going to be 2 o'clock, but I think I'm going to open about half an hour earlier than that, just to get into this and see if we're not going to follow that. We're not going to be there all day while they're casting their votes and there's no news. We're going to get on towards the end of the counting and see if we can find some ability to trade that. How long have you been drinking? It's just non-stop. It's just line after line after line. Yeah, look, John, I think that's a really look. We've got a few things coming in the chat. I'll just address those. Look, if you're an inexperienced trader, just sit this out and be careful. You know, one thing again, I'll say this: you look at the ranges that things like gold are in, and you know, my question is, how long? What's the probability that gold will still be in that range after on Thursday? And I think the probability of that's quite low. Now, whether it's going to go up or down, or both, that's all. It's all possible, right? But I think the chance of it still being there is pretty slim. And that means if you're an inexperienced trader, this is a market that might have some volatility that's getting to the high side. As we said in the news that we put out, for the last 2 US elections, we've closed ATW accounts, all the trades, every single trade has been closed on it. And this time I've chosen to leave them open. You can trade your accounts, but I am going to ask you guys to take due care. Now we're talking US election. That's a fundamental thing. And I'm a trader. I'm not a fundamentalist. Alexis is a fundamentalist. Alexi, are you with us?
Paul. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Alexi. How you doing?
Great.
Look, do you fundamentalists sort of get excited around this kind of stuff? You know, you sit there all year and not much happens. All of a sudden, here comes a US election. Here's something cool to talk about.
I don't think it's exciting when the election comes. I think it's only exciting before and after, because I think as you can see, the markets usually just consolidate and everybody's waiting for the election before the breakout. So I think the exciting part will come. We look at looking at the technicals, picking a general bias and wait for that breakout that will definitely come to a lot of these currency pairs after the election.
Yeah, I think it's a good point, Lexi. It's not straight ranging, is it? But it's just chopping up and then ranging, or chopping down and then ranging.
Yeah,
It's not easy trading, I would say, in the last week. I think the direction's been quite simple. I think the direction shouldn't be a surprise to most people, but timing it and trying to chase it. If you're trying to trend trade it and take big chunks, boy, that'd be reasonably hard work. Although we got a nice one on that pound yen in Julian's broadcast group, which and he got the dollar yen as well last week. So there were a couple of decent moves, I guess, in there as well. Okay, Alexis, over to you. What do you got for us?
all right. So I'm not quite looking at the election because it's the news has been there for quite a while. What I have been looking at recently is a couple of stuff on the Australian side. So let me just show a couple of quick screens.
Just
all right.
Logging into YouTube and that kind of stuff on the other screens. If I'm looking away, I'm not being rude.
All right, no problem. Okay, so I've checked out some of the stuff on the Aussie. So basically, the Aussie stats are actually doing pretty well. But if we do a deeper kind of a deeper dig into Australian news, and I have come across a couple of when the banks do their analysis, and it seems that there is a lot of expectation within the banks, the private banks, the banking sector in the Australian side about this rate cut. So currently the interest rate is about 0.25%. And next week, if we look quickly at the Forex Factory calendar, next week on, I think Thursday to Friday, Thursday, is it Thursday? 6 Friday. So next Friday, there will be this monetary policy statement out, which I think the Aussie will move either before or after this when it's a little bit clearer, because even though there wasn't a confirmed decision about cutting the Australian dollar interest rates, but I think the reaction to that news last week did come as a surprise to the RBA itself. So this RBA monetary policy statement would be interesting because there is a lot of predictions coming around about that. There is a good probability of the interest rate going down to 0.1%. Yeah, and it is a lot of it is also related to their bond purchasing and all that stuff. So the Australian dollar is something interesting to watch next week. And of course, if we are looking at the Aussie dollars, you can see, I think there is, the past couple of weeks, I say there's a lot of downward movement, but a couple of pairs, especially the Aussie dollar, I think really, really consolidating. So the Aussie is going to be interesting next week, especially Aussie dollar between the US election and the monetary policy rate. I think there will be some moves that's going to come out from the Aussie dollar. And it is at a really nice, I would say, technical level on the daily chart. And, if it breaks below that, then, that will probably, if the RBA reduces its rates, then there's going to be a high probability it's going to break below this level. But if, the Aussie dollar, the RBA says, okay, no rate change, everything's going to be the same, then, of course, the reaction will be to the upside over there. So I think it's really about picking the timing of it, as well as managing the risk on it for this particular breakout. So next week, between the US election and RBA, it will be interesting for the Aussies. Yep. But in reply to Geoff last week, even though it doesn't seem like they want to cut rates, but a lot of banks are predicting it. So I guess we are not quite right on the spot last week.
Alexis, you're thinking we might see a rate cut in Australia next week?
Yeah, a lot of the bank reports are coming out because their concern is about their bond purchases. There are adjustments over there. So a lot of the big banks are expecting a cut to 0.1. If it cuts to 0.2, all right, then we should see a little bit of a pop up for the Aussie dollar, but there is like maybe 70% of analysts looking at 0.1%. So I believe the RBA monetary policy statement next week would be the final word on whether or not the interest rates will change.
Yeah, it's a good call, Alexis. I think, again, I know there's some different views on it, but I thought that the RBA Governor Lowe was pretty clear that it's coming, and it's only a matter of where.
Yeah.
It may fake the market out. It may be that it's still a little while away, but I think it is coming, and I don't know if it's the same over there in New Zealand. They've had to put back negative interest rates because the retail banks didn't have the computing capacity to do it, and they had to have new programs installed, and they've had that done, and so they're ready for more negative interest rates early next year in New Zealand. And a lot of those banks are Australian banks, Australian-owned banks in New Zealand, and it may be that they've been to some degree on hold in Australia too, waiting for the technology to come along and allow them to do that kind of thing.
Yeah,
RBA cash rate 11:30 a.m. Tuesday. Yeah, that'll be interesting. Whoa.
Yeah.
Be interesting on the Aussie if you've got that in the election coming through, right?
Yeah, I think the other pair that I was looking at last week was the dollar sing. So last week with Ainslie, we kind of went through the dollar sing because the Singapore government really regulates the exchange rate, and 1.35 was so-called the area. If we go out on the weekly chart, you can actually see that 1.35 is the area where the government likes to keep things the lowest it can go. So there is a nice median range about it. So last week I was talking about a strength in the dollar sing mainly because of government intervention, and the sing dollar. Singapore government has also reduced its interest rates because we are on a variable floating interest rate system. So it has reduced its interest rate, and I think it's also because price is getting a little bit up towards the 1.36 range. So I'm looking at Sing dollar being traded within this range actually. So there will be good opportunities for shorter time frame pickups between the 1.35 to 1.36 area. Very nice tight range, but until the economy gets better, this is where I think it's going to be regulated for a while.
Looks nice, doesn't it?
Yeah. On that note, we have some updated statistics. So a couple of GDP figures came out the last quarter. We have the US showing a green up by 33 compared to its previous minus 31 GDP Q on Q. The euro is also up, and euros mainly because Germany and France are doing pretty well. All right, but there are concerns about the next. I think Monday, Europe will go into a second lockdown. I'm not sure how intensive, but I know the UK is probably going into a second lockdown. Euro is going to a second lockdown, so I'm not too sure how that will affect again their economy in that sense. So weakness in the euro is expected, and I think it's just a reaction to the next lockdown phase that they might be experiencing. Well, actually, it's pretty confirmed, if I'm not wrong, Monday.
Yeah, it's I think most of Europe's already gone. France is gone. I think Germany's gone, and the UK is joining them on Monday, from what I read today.
Yeah, so I think despite nice numbers, I think because of the lockdown, then definitely looking forward to a little bit more weakness on the euros. I mean, a lot of them have been kind of chunking down, ranging, but in a lower low, lower high kind of choppy version of it. So we might have good opportunities on shorting the euro next week if we can catch them on the retracements, I think.
Nice, gosh. Just have a look at the coronavirus figures. They are insane.
Yeah.
New figures in the States, 86,000, 46,000 in India, 35,000 in France. France was up over 50,000 a day, 31,000 in Italy, 21,000 in the UK, 21,000 in Poland, 20,000 in Belgium, 18,000 in Russia. My gosh, 14,000 in Germany, 9,000 in the Netherlands. So 2 weeks ago, Netherlands was sending their sick to Germany because they couldn't fit them in the Netherlands hospitals. And now Germany's got more cases per day than them. And boy, it's this lockdown in Europe's not one day too early. It'll be tough over there.
Yeah, so I think it will be. I think it's good for. I think if your trading is good because this kind of moves usually creates more push to one side, a clearer push towards one direction, at least for a short period. So you will be a little bit easier to trade after the election, I feel, when a directional bias has been established.
Yeah, I think that's really fair. Great call, Gary. I think it was Australia's first 0 day in some time today. Nice to see. Nice to see Australia. I think that last night most of the Australians drank so much commiseration beer they probably killed off most of the bugs.
Right out.
But it is nice to see. All joking aside, it's great to see the 0 case in Australia. It's a great thing. And look, honestly, many of the people in this session, I understand that things are back well on track in Singapore. I'm not so sure about Malaysia. I haven't had a look, but we are lucky. Most of us live in countries where right now you feel like it's under control. I was talking to one of our guys in the US the other day, and he's in a town, and he's just like, everyone here's got it. It's insane. Yeah, 12 new cases in Singapore yesterday doesn't look quite so bad.
I think Malaysia's quite messy because they are still deciding whether or not to lock down. They're having a political situation there, as usual. So.
9 in Malaysia yesterday. Gosh, if you're in Malaysia, take care, people.
Yeah.
Not that any of our people will be high risk because we're all extremely healthy and young. Okay, Lexi. So sorry, Lexi. We moved us all over the place. The Aussie dollar based on possible interest rate cut. Dollar Sing based on the likelihood of central bank intervention. It looks like that to me in those charts. It does look like central bank intervention to me. Euro short based on reductions in demand because of coronavirus. Is this where we're up to so far?
Yes, correct.
I like them all.
And I think the last thing is I think the ECB President Lagarde has already sent that a message out there will be a further stimulus to be announced in December. So this, should give us also another point on the side of short the euro.
Yeah, I think that's very interesting, isn't it? Because what that means, of course, is short euro dollar, long euro indices. So be interesting to see if there's a cash in, if there's a stimulus pack in the UK where they're asking to cash in it on the FTSE. A lot of these things, as the stimulus comes out, the market ignores the underlying problems and goes for the fact there's some money coming in. Is that it today, Lexi?
Yes, that's it for me today.
Really good session today, and thanks for helping you stay as well, Lexi. It was awesome.
All right.
We're going to go to PH and have a look at some charts. Technically, we've talked about things from a bit of a fundamental viewpoint, but buddy, that monkey looks like a microphone. It really does.
Oh, it's definitely a monkey.
There we go, mate. There's the monkey.
Yeah, swinging around there.
Technically, what's going on?
Well, yeah, I'm also really like the Aussie US dollar chart, and I'm just about to show my screen here. There you go. You should be able to see the New Zealand dollar, which I'll start with, and then I'll go to the Aussie dollar chart. This is a weekly chart for the New Zealand US dollar, and I've got two important horizontal levels here. One which is at about 67, low 67s, and one which is at 65. And we have firmly rejected the 67 level last week. What I also like about this is we're underneath the monthly pivot. We've been oscillating between above and below the monthly pivot so far most of the month of October. I do feel like the monthly pivot for November will step down slightly, but I've drawn a channel here which I'm interpreting as a bear flag. So there's the flagpole, which is the rundown from the highs, right, back in September, the high of about 68, just almost got to 68 and then just pulled away, and then we've come back and we've retested this previous high, which has given us a lower high here over the last week, and then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday we headed down. I'm anticipating that this level is going to be broken, and I do believe that the price will so let me make this a little bit bigger. I do believe price will head down to this level here, which is 65 in a hurry, and that will also coincide with the 200-day moving average. Now, if it does get down to that level, you might interpret that as being a head and shoulders top, right? We've got the left shoulder over here. We've got the head double-headed, right? Double head. They're not always exactly what you see in the textbooks here. But then we've got the third shoulder here that's nearly finished forming. So that is what I feel is one of the most interesting charts right now. Yes, the US dollar appears to be poised for more strength based on this chart and based on many of the other charts, euro included, pound included, US dollar, Canadian dollar, US dollar, Australian dollar, sorry, Aussie US dollar, which we'll go and take a look at a minute. But I think that outside of all of this US election furor, and so on, when the markets do settle down after we find out who's the new president, I still do think that the New Zealand dollar is in some technical trouble here. I don't have any fundamental arguments to back that up, but I kind of don't need that because I'm not a fundamentalist either. So if you want to add any fuel to the fire, Paul, go ahead.
Mate, I like it, PH. So I think one of the things about it is that when we do this stuff, we have different people come in. One of the reasons we have a team is to have different people come in and provide different perspectives on the same thing. And look, I was going to say, what's your target short on this? If we get a break of this channel, where are you looking to get to?
Break of the channel will be straight down to 65. because that's a strong horizontal support level, coinciding with the 200-day moving average. I'm just measuring the neckline to the top of the topping pattern here, which it's about 280 pips. So if I measure that, and I want to be conservative here, if I measure it from the neckline down, it takes us down to about 6250, maybe 6240, 6250. So and I don't know if there's a horizontal level that coincides with that. Oh yes, there is. There you go. There's horizontal support there as well from back in 2019. So that for me is going to be the measuring objective, the target for the Head and Shoulders, which isn't confirmed yet. It's still forming, but that's what I'm looking at as potential downside there. And I'm not one to use Fibonacci very often nowadays, but I can see that there's a 38.2 Fibonacci retracement level there as well. So and there's a 23.6 just underneath the that initial target, the horizontal level target. So it's and forget about the Fibonacci numbers. Just think that, okay, here's a 25% retracement, and then here's a 1/3 retracement. And if it gets down below there, well, there's also horizontal support there at the 50% level. And it's not uncommon to see these things retrace 50% of their gains over these longer periods of time.
PH, it's so what we're talking about here is we're looking for a short on the Kiwi, and initial target is horizontal support around 65, and longer term target for you is horizontal support around 62.
Yeah, 62.40 to 62.50.
Nice. It's got to be a decent move if you pick it up. And look at, say, again, I like looking at PH. Hard to argue it technically, and we'll let the fundamentals take care of themselves. One of the things that I believe is that the central bank in New Zealand has again said we're going to negative interest rates, and we're not there yet. And I'm not sure they're completely priced in by the market. So I wouldn't be at all surprised. And the Reserve Bank of New Zealand's going to, they did a technically correct thing, and they said, hey, look, we're releasing all the mortgage restrictions so banks can lend and da-da-da-da. And house prices have gone up sort of 12-15% in the last 3 months. And they're going to have to put that stuff back on. And they said we won't put it back on for a year, and they're going to have to back out of that at some stage soon. And so we are going to put it back on. And that's as well, see a little bit of weakening in the New Zealand dollar fundamentally. If you want a fundamental reason to put it in there, I think there may well be a little bit of a bias in there as well. Okay. I've certainly, well, I don't have a clear bias, PH there. Your case looks good to me, and I'll be having a look at trying to find my way into this as well. What else we got, mate? We got the Kiwi short. By the way, mate, did you watch that rugby test match?
Oh, was there a rugby match on this weekend?
Not really.
No, I heard about it.
Right.
I heard about it. No, I didn't watch it. I was having some pre-birthday celebrations yesterday.
Very nice, mate.
Yes.
40th?
Yeah, 40th again for the umpteenth time. So this is the Aussie, and look, I'll just go out to the weekly chart here just for a bit of perspective. Big bearish decisive move down last week, sitting at a very, very crucial level here, which is the 70 level. That's been strong resistance, and it has been pretty strong support as well. And I'm looking at this trend line, which is in the process of being broken. But just look at the cyclicity here: lower low, lower high, same level low, lower high. So it just keeps, you could draw a horizontal line here. You could draw a slightly off horizontal trend line, but it's just continuing to come back to the same place. And once the buying dries up, then I think it's going to drop down here, just at least to go down to the 200-day moving average. But below that, my next level would be around about 67. 67 is a pretty decent level of horizontal support here. And of course, this is more or less in line with what we're expecting from the New Zealand dollar as well. These currencies tend to move more or less in sympathy with each other, unless there's some huge factor that differentiates between them. I've been keeping one eye on the Aussie Kiwi, waiting for that to swing, waiting for the pendulum to swing the way of the Aussie. It hasn't yet, but it's on Friday. It started to look like there was a bit of buying coming in on the Aussie Kiwi. I'll just bring that chart up. Not that it matters very much, because if you're asking the question, oh, okay, so I'm looking at three charts here, right? Aussie, New Zealand US dollar, Aussie US dollar, and Aussie Kiwi. Okay, if I was going to trade one of them, which one would it be? Then I would pick the New Zealand US dollar. I reckon that's the best technically. If I was going to pick a second one to trade, the second one for me would be the Aussie US dollar short. Now, the thing that helps me make up my mind between the Aussie and the Kiwi here is also this, right? Because we saw almost a bullish engulfing here, I think, on Friday, and this has gone down for so many days, and I really do feel like it's due a bit of a retracement here. So I think the fall of the New Zealand dollar will be faster than the fall of the Australian dollar, just based on this Aussie Kiwi recent chart. But back to the Aussie. This could pop up on Monday, or it could just hang around on Monday and Tuesday waiting for the RBA rate decision. But I would be looking for a way to get into this, a safe way to get into this with your stop loss level. You can see I've got a trade on it already. My stop loss level is up here at about 71.60. Yeah, so I've got an early trade in here already. Yeah, so that's my thoughts on the Aussie US dollar. And just to go down to take a look at this, the next decent horizontal level there is at 67. So that's 300 pips.
Interesting, isn't it? PH certainly looks like some US dollar strength likely in what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think there's some scenarios where we may well see some really good US dollar strength. Anything else from you, PH?
That's those the best things, the best charts I'm looking for right at now.
Mate, thanks for coming in. Always great to have you on the show. I think we may look to have you back again in the month of November, have you come in a couple of times. Reminding everybody that we're doing a US election show about 1:30 p.m. Sing on Wednesday. And we're also doing a multi-speaker event on the 21st, maybe the 22nd of November as well. Our guest for that is head analyst for a major European bank, massive fund. Interesting, I was talking to him today about it. $270 billion, I think they trade. And they've got a trading team of four full-time traders for that. Amazing, eh? He'll be in to talk just a bit on the day, and he's also a advisor to a monetary committee for the ECB. So we'll have him in on the 21st or the 22nd of November as part of a one-day multi-speaker event. Lots of good speakers coming in and sharing their stuff that day. We've got all kinds coming in. One of those people who we hope will be coming and spending a bit of time with us that weekend is Julian, and he's in the room. Julian, I've got some questions specifically for you. Are you free?
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to chat. If people would like to ask me something.
Mate, how's the new place?
The new place is very good, thank you, Paul. We just had my trading group and we watched the sun go down behind me, which was all very exciting for us all. Well, actually, the content was more exciting, I hope, but I didn't actually need a backdrop because the backdrop was amazing.
Nice, mate. Mate, here's the thing for mine. I want to see if you agree with this or not. Here's the basic scenario. Let's, as an example, talk about gold. Stuck between the 100-day EMA and the monthly pivot, has been there for a month, isn't going anywhere, but the chances of it being there on Thursday is nearly zero. The one thing that I can't see happening is it still being inside this range. I can see that election giving us clarity and some buying coming in for gold, and I can see that election giving us a lack of clarity, and I can see some selling coming in for gold, but I can't see the scenario that leaves it where it is. It looks to me like we're facing a reasonably volatile week. We've had both Alexis and Paul talk short Aussie dollar in the week running up. But how is the election going to affect this week?
Look, Paul, I think you raised a really good question, right? And we were discussing just now dollar yen back in 2016. For those of you that can't remember back to 2016 and what you were doing trading through the Trump election during that time, dollar yen had begun a rally that I think had rallied 3 or 4 big figures over the course of the previous 3 weeks into the election. The election came along and it promptly dropped 3.5 big figures over the course of that election result, and then promptly rallied all of those back and closed on the high of the day at about 105, and then it finally ended up about 3 or 4 weeks later at 119. So there's some opportunities here for some substantial moves, but I think the game is going to be to look at what's going into the market from a pre-positioning point of view. So for those of you who are thinking about the euro, we've had 5 straight days down in the euro. So clearly people are positioned long US dollar, short euro walking into the election. The next couple of days, I would imagine, are going to be pretty quiet. And the key thing for me is to say, okay, well, where are those guys or girls who are doing that positioning going to get out of their positions? And is it then going to turn into a short-term bounce, which then gets pushed into a new or a reinforcement of that euro sell-off and US dollar rally? So for me, I think there's some really key markets that have been moving prior to the election and through last week. Gold was one of those. It had a pretty rough week overall, although Friday was a little better. I think for me, specifically talking gold, Paul, Friday is I'm going to sort of very closely keep an eye on what happens if we break Friday and Thursday's low, and also if we break Friday's high. So Friday for me was the critical day, and we'll have a look and see how that trades. I don't know what your previous folks have said beforehand, but that's the way I'm looking at the world.
Man,
I suspect that before Wednesday, nothing is going to happen in gold, and they might tickle the edges of Friday, but they might not do any breakouts one way or the other. And, look, why would they? According to the external news sources, the ones that we look at over the ones that I see here, and, some of the ones that I respect a lot, I'm sort of seeing a Biden victory, but an electoral college potential being a lot closer than that, but it still should be a Democratic victory by some margin. I speak to friends of mine in the States, and they have a completely different view to that. So, who knows? And it's going to be difficult. One thing's for sure is we're going to have some vol, but then use it, right? The key point is if you want to be short the euro and the euro bounces after the election, then maybe use that as the opportunity to sell it. Certainly, don't try and walk into the wind here. What you can do is you could look for the key levels that are important to you about where you think the trend might be. The trend might reverse again to go back into a US dollar strength and say, okay, well, if it does bounce, I'm going to look at this level or this level, 118.60. I'm going to look at 119.20. We may even have a flip up to 120 on a very short-term spike, which would take out all the stops, but would also give you an opportunity to reset if you thought it was going to potentially reinforce that US dollar strength by the end of the day, right? And that's the key thing, right? It's be cool, be small, be nimble, and be ready to move very quickly when the opportunity arises, if it does, because you won't get a second go at this, right? When you're in the place where you think there's a trade to be made, you have to make it. So if that's sorry, Paul, that's a very, very long answer to the gold question, which was trade Friday's range, the high and the low of Friday as a potential directional movement. So I do believe that if the US dollar is going to strengthen, then gold will go down.
It's sorry, mate. I've got the chart up here. Thursday low, Friday high. I talked about Thursday low, Wednesday high, which is a long way further away. One of the things for it, Julian, right, is that this is not a day for inexperienced traders to get opinions and bet their house on it. That's just not what we're doing, right? This is about, say, position size small, get into the moves, and look for opportunities to build into them if you're a good enough trader and you understand how to do that properly.
100% agree with that, Paul. And look, it's a day to trade small, but you may well get some positions off, which could make you quite a bit of money. But you've got to be cool about it. You can't, I'm seeing Helen's question. You can't try and predict what's going to take place, because right now that's really hard. My general belief overall is that a decisive victory by either camp will be probably good for the dollar and maybe not good for the equity markets in the very short term, but will be good for them in the medium term. And by the medium term, I mean 2 or 3 weeks. So my sense is we still have got to go a bit lower in stocks, but not crazy low before we can put a rally in place. I don't think enough people are negative on them yet in the very short term. But look, one thing I wanted to point out, Paul, is that there's some really interesting things going on, and maybe this is a time for another day, but there's some very interesting sentiment patterns going on in the oil market on the dailies and weekly charts, and in the stock market on the dailies and weekly charts that are juxtaposed, right? They're in opposite places. And so I think, that's a really good, we'll have a quick reminder and a catch up around that, because I think it's very important going forward that we understand the overall patterns that we're trying to unfold here. And that will really help us, right? So right now I feel that oil is probably going to sell off over the course of this week. I don't think it's going to sell off very far. I remain fundamentally very bullish on oil, mainly because I think everybody else has thrown it out and doesn't want to talk about energy anymore ever. So therefore, that's when I get interested. And I think there's some real trades coming up there in that market that could be really interesting, very bull trades. But having said that, in the short term, with the COVID thing blowing up, it might go back down again. So we'll see what happens. And again, that's an opportunity to maybe put some decent trades on over the course of the election, if you can get the levels right. I'm sorry I can't be more specific, but I think right now being more specific is really hard because the stops could just get taken out on Wednesday.
Mate, if you're around 6:30 p.m. Wednesday, we're going to do a US election special. We're going to go live and see if we can see the back end of the results coming in. I think that session will be Ash and Geoff and myself. We've got Orlando and Shukri definitely confirmed to join us. I'm expecting a few more to join us. So if you are around, more than welcome to come and have a bit of a look at it. I think it's going to be some interesting trading in that session.
Yeah, totally.
Mate, just a thought on a long-term play. I'm thinking about buying some copper. Any thoughts on copper?
Yeah.
Not a big fan of it.
I have been. Aluminium has the same thing as well too, right? Look amazing at the moment. I'm just going to say about all the commodities, beware a US dollar rally.
Yeah, it's interesting. We are talking about, if the analysts are right and if they're saying the right thing, we're expecting massive infrastructure spends around the world, and that copper is going to be needed. And you're talking about it, you can't just invent new copper. It's going to take a bit of getting, and I'm expecting to see a bit of a run up in it. But
I agree, Paul. I totally get that argument. Look, and I'm a huge bull in commodities. This is the beginning of a secular move in commodities. It's going to last 5 years at least here. I am a bull in this area. However, I'm really conscious that in the short run, strange and crazy things could happen before Christmas. If we do get a US dollar rally, then I think commodities will be struggling to go up no matter what they are and who they are. Possibly wheat and the grain markets aside, which are trading higher for very specific reasons. But again, I think that the wheat market and the grain markets may be starting some kind of big move as well too. But they've already had a substantial move higher. But where are we now? We're now in November. We're into winter wheat and next year's wheat crop, and there's a long way to go between here, planting, harvesting, that makes me sort of go, okay, well, we'll see what happens next.
Cheers, mate. The US dollar move, I don't have a US dollar index chart up at the moment, but my recollection is that the US dollar is nudging some recent highs, around 90, is it 94, 97 on the dollar index?
Look, again, Paul, it doesn't really matter. Just stick the euro chart up. It's the same chart.
Yeah, fair, mate, fair. And boy, that euro. Mind you, to be fair, Julian, right now, coronavirus has to be having a play on that as well, doesn't it? That euro has been,
Yeah, so then I will encourage people to go and look for the last time we had 5 days down in the euro.
I was just thinking that.
If you put that on the weekly chart.
I'll tell you what, we haven't got it, but we've got pretty close a couple of times. It's been a bit
exactly right, but this is a straight 5 days down, And I don't, there has been a weekly bar chart recently, which has been as strong as this, but not many. And so it wouldn't be unreasonable for you to think about going to find major support here. And what was Paul calling for? It was, he said about, I can't remember the exact level he was calling for, but I could easily see us back to 114 area. Just on a pure, we swung up to 119. We're going, from 116, that's 3. Well, that gets us back to 113.5. Yeah, why not? We might. I don't think so. I think the real risk for me is that we have something crazy happen and we take out 118.20 before we then reverse and go back down again. So I think maybe the eventual target for this is a little lower than where we are now. But I draw people's attention to what I said a couple of weeks ago around this whole open interest and commercial short positions in the euro. That just bear in mind that you have to have, if you're going to trade the commitment of traders, you've got to try and combine the commercial short position or long positions, a change in open interest. If open interest is falling while those short positions are remaining quite high, the signal's effectiveness is massively reduced, right? Because it just means that people are indifferent. The commercials may be short, but the sum total of their positions is very small. So, in that case, nobody's really got a position. It just looks that it looks that like the commercials are short, but the reality is nobody's trading at all, and they may have a residual short position. So that's quite important caveats to put into some of that commitment to traders stuff, to look at the more holistic view around everything to do with not just the commitment to traders, but understanding the difference between open interest, volume, and also the commitment of traders combined together. A little bit of a nuance, but it's quite important on this occasion in some of those currencies. So hence the reason why I'm sort of bullish the US dollar, bearish euro, but I'm not super bearish euro. Okay, I think this goes down a bit, but doesn't go down very far. Nobody's got an interest in a higher dollar, right? Nobody.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay. Cheers, Julian. Is that it for you? Nothing else?
That's pretty much it for me, Paul.
Cheers, mate. Thank you very much. Thanks for being with us, mate. And mate, nice to hear you around the your session from the new place, mate. It looks lovely there. And mate, certainly the people in that new show are taking some shaking. Those that are around seem to be loving it and staying in the amount of shorts going really well. Next up,
I think people are appreciating it. Thanks, guys, and I'll see you next time.
Cheers, Julian. Next up, we have got Shukri on crypto. Shukri, Bitcoin 12 years old.
Yeah, 12, and it hit 14K key level, because I'll show you a chart. I think we have to change our thinking to a different kind of chart on the Bitcoin cycle, because it looks like it's going to do another cycle thing the next few years. If commodities are in for a secular cycle, Bitcoin is just going to follow commodities. But what's interesting this week, Paul, if you see, it just refused to follow. It's like that. Okay, US dollar go up, you were supposed to go down. No, it didn't go down. Equities market go down, you were supposed to go down. There was supposed to be a double whammy. No, it didn't do that. It just hit the high for the past, that was achieved since last year. So that is like, it's going on its own trajectory. There's something going on here. And I think Ainslie said it best when she said that gentrification, what's going on? There's all sorts of money moving in, and it's not the retailers' money, certainly not us. It's something else. And let me show you this chart, okay? Let me show you this very interesting chart, because we really have to understand the fundamentals first. I mean, it's a crazy market. Yes, 12 belated birthday, hopefully on the 13th birthday, you'll give us more things to celebrate on. Look at this, gentrification. So I took what Ainslie said. This is what has happened in the past 2 weeks. Was it 2 weeks? 2 weeks, just 2 weeks. You see PayPal giving access to 360 million people to Bitcoin, not only Bitcoin, but Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash. Kraken, okay, last month, this was when the USA has finally decided to approve a crypto bank. Of all things, we now have a crypto bank. DBS Bank in Singapore now has an exchange that will allow people to buy Bitcoin in like 3 or 4 pairs. That's cool. Sime Commercial, now this is the biggest bank in Southeast Asia. Next, the biggest bank in Thailand, Sime Commercial, has DeFi. Like what? Nobody knows what DeFi is in Thailand, but hey, they're really doing things that are far ahead of time. JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon was, of course, the big hater of Bitcoin. You know, he wanted to fire all the people who had a Bitcoin wallet in 2017. And now they're adapting to Bitcoin. They've come with bullish calls on Bitcoin, and they allow people like Coinbase, you know, the US exchange, to bank with them. Also Gemini. Okay, this is interesting. Mongolia's largest bank to offer cryptocurrency services. Again, following DBS and Simon Commercial. I don't know, Paul, are the Aussies and Australians here yet, or are you guys still like behind?
Mate, mate, the Aussies are always behind, mate. Don't panic too much about them. I mean, if you've got Mongolia's largest bank, I mean, that's
yeah, but the next one interesting is, look, I mean, and Ainslie told us the thing right last time, like Iran was paying Venezuela with gold or something like that. Well, Venezuela was paying Iran with gold, right, for oil. Now, guess what? Iran's central bank came out with a law forcing the legalized miners to sell Bitcoin to them. You can't sell anywhere else because they need cash or they need money. And it seems like even they are going into Bitcoin to go around this US imposed sanctions. And that's really kind of odd. Next, another central bank. So you see central banks, but wasn't 2 years ago that central banks were going to kill Bitcoin? Not now. Bank of Thailand is supporting the CDBC, central bank digital currencies, for retail on the Ethereum blockchain. And of course, Huawei phone to support digital yuan. So, you know, because China has a digital yuan, they have not supported Bitcoin, although they are okay with cryptos because they have their own cryptos. And on Friday, of all things, this is Pete Najarian, a very famous, commentator on CNBC, major one, and he is into Bitcoin now. And even he has admitted that he's late. Well, welcome to the club. Don't be too late. Are you too late? Not so. I don't think so, because
this stuff too, Shukri, you know, people need to understand this, right? That, you know, Bitcoin's 12 years old. Currency is about 700 years old. So I don't think you're late at 12 years. I think that means that the exchange have got a little while to go, you know. And to be honest, it doesn't matter. You're a trader, right? It doesn't matter if you're trading copper or nickel or currency. It's just what the opportunity is today. There's no such thing as too late. If there's an opportunity today, take the opportunity. And if there's not, find something else where there is an opportunity. There's no need to worry too much about this.
And I'll show you the opportunity now.
Yep.
Look at this.
Is this one that me and Geoff have got?
No, you got something better that will go 10 times. And then I'll tell you what will happen. This is how the story will change. Okay, look, this is a fact. In the past, once Bitcoin breaks the previous all-month high, it goes up for an average of about 9 months. Remember this, there's only one red candle. So that's where you can trade or you want to hold it. It's up to you. But I'm saying that this is a mad train that's just going off the station, and you know, you'll get confirmation. Of course, it might dip down for a while after, hopefully it does, for a while after the US election, depending on the outcome. But look at this, it charges away for the next 9 months, okay? Average of 13x. I don't think we're going to 100 and this 196K. In fact, someone already said this, but he said we don't want that because if Bitcoin goes there, something is terribly wrong with the fiat system. Right? I mean, how are you going to buy things without fiat? So we don't need to entertain that kind of illusion here. But you know, it is definitely going up for the next 9 months or so. And one more thing, this is another fact. We are now very significant. While the 12th birthday is important, once Bitcoin goes above 100 days at a certain level, it never comes back. This was true for $1, $10, $1,000. So you might want to ask, where are we in terms of 10,000? Well, we are at 97 days. We will be at 100 days on November 4th. So if it doesn't come down, because everything goes fine, and Trump, if he loses, you know, he just exits, then it ain't coming back to that level. You've seen the last of that level. It never goes back. And that's where we are now. But going into this presidential election, my advice is stay out of it, because unlike stocks and other instruments, cryptocurrencies can go wild. Cryptocurrencies can go to the moon. Yes, we might miss a 30 to 50% move. That's a lot. But remember, when we go into a big rally, cryptos can go what? 5 times, 10 times, 20 times. So What is it to miss a 30 to 50% move? It's not much. So chill, enjoy it. And one thing that I have, another thing, yeah, Malaysia is behind, Helen. Now, here it is. For you guys in Malaysia here, I'm afraid, I have to tell this to you. Look what's happening to the government. There's there could be a political crisis. There's a COVID crisis. The stability of Malaysia is not there anymore. The Malaysian that we knew is not there anymore. If something should happen, and we don't know what will happen to the ringgit? Where are you going to hide? To me, there's only two, and you got to decide: Bitcoin and gold. You have to put some money there. You have to have a hedge somewhere. I hope nothing happens, but all I know, the Malaysia that I lived in, which there is no chance of the government changing over periods between general elections, is gone. I don't even know what the government will be the next year. And this is one of the reasons that I think in the world that Bitcoin is moving up. Just look at the countries that are politically unstable, guys. Just look at it. Bitcoin has set new highs there. And that is really my message for today. And looking at the chart there, yes, it is already here. Yes, it's all ready to go to the moon there. We hit this, we are gone at 20. And when we go to 20, it's sayonara, right? Next, Ethereum. Where is it? Ethereum is here. It hasn't gone back past the high of 500. It refuses to come out. I don't know why. But yeah, come on, Ethereum. No, if it refuses to come out, I have a slow internet here. But just look at Bitcoin, okay? Ready to go up. And so you guys have to decide. Protect yourselves, okay? Just protect yourselves against all this.
Shukri, I'm sorry, mate. I'm doing a couple of things in the background here, just organising the chit chat with the team afterwards. Mate, sorry, excuse me, the cold hasn't completely gone yet. What you're saying is that Malaysia's got instability, and in countries where there's instability, crypto takes hold.
Yes.
But because people eventually go, well, and this is it, isn't it? Just what you said, right? I've got some money, but this country's in trouble. Where do I put my money? Well, I can put it in the stock market, but hey, the country's in trouble. That's not so cool. I can put it in the ringgit, but hey, the country's in trouble. That's not so cool. So I'm going to go to gold. Or I'm going to go to crypto, right? Or I'm going to have the ability to go to global stock markets, etc. But many people in Malaysia don't have the ability to go to global stock markets, etc. They're going to go and try and get some money tucked away in crypto and make a little bit out of it on the way, right?
Yep.
I like the plan. Now, look, every time you speak, I think let's buy some crypto. I never do, and it's not because I feel like I've missed it or anything like that. It just simply is because I do a lot of other stuff in a week, and we're done with some crypto.
And that's why I said, Paul, you have to look at it at a different kind of chart that is ready to go up. And starting this week in our 7 to 9 o'clock shows, 7 p.m. shows, I'll give you a way to buy cryptos easily. You just buy a little bit at a time. Because I said, I'm talking of this in the terms of hedging. We're worried now.
I don't think I can be bothered with that, Shukri. I'll probably buy, if I'm going to buy something, I'm going to buy a little bit at a time. I'll probably get into it a little bit.
Yeah. And one more thing. Bad news. Gentrification, right? I was telling you guys about gentrification. Now, this is the fact. This will happen. Don't panic. In the future, what will happen is this: because of gentrification and all the rich guys are coming in, and the governments will never let them out of the tax net. And there's a lot of KYC, they will get access to the best opportunities first. It's okay if you buy it from them, okay?
Yeah, look at that's just part of the world, isn't it? And
yeah.
The things I do want to say, and look at guys, if you're looking at the different things, I think one of the things you always want to do is you want to make sensible decisions and get some perspective about this. And if you asked me if you should have your life savings in crypto, I would tell you I think that's completely insane. It probably is a good buy right now, but really, have some money in the US dollar, have some money in copper, have some money in a currency. But if you ask me if there's space in any portfolio to have something like crypto, which is high reward to risk, right? You're talking about being able to get double your money on this kind of thing within a year if it really took off. I think there's always space in investment for people to take that kind of investment on. What you've got to do is you've got to work out how much you're going to apportion to it. That's what the funds do. It's about the way they apportion their money. They're into this, they're into that, but they're into the safe stuff at bigger apportionment and into the risk stuff at less apportionment. And it's healthy to be in a number of these markets at small risk while you learn them. And the best way, and the truth is that eventually I will go back into crypto. And as you know, I've got a history in crypto, but I will go back into crypto because being in crypto will help me to stay interested and learn about crypto. And sitting on the outsides, look, it's the same as everything in the world, guys. Sitting in the stands and watching the game, that's good fun, but it's not being in the game. It's not real. Everybody can watch a game of football and say he should trap that with his left foot and slide it past the keeper, but no one in the stand can trap it with their left foot and whack it past the keeper. You've got to get in the game to learn the game, and I think that being in crypto to some degree is a pretty good move, mate. Is that us on crypto for today?
That's it for today,
mate. I have got my Skype now. Ainslie will be next on gold, won't she?
Probably will be.
Ainslie.
Hello.
Are we talking green and gold or just gold?
Just gold. And like Paul said, there was no football game here in Sydney last night. None. Don't know what you're talking about.
Look, we all know that the All Blacks had a training run last night. That's all that happened.
Training. I think somebody mistook it for a run down at the pub, actually. But anyway, Shukri, I will allow you to use my term of gentrification. There you go.
Thanks. Yeah, the big money is coming in.
Oh dear. Yeah, it certainly has changed its profile. And you made a really good point there, Paul, with when you've got money, you're not putting all your life saving. This is where you have to diversify your portfolio and into high risk and low risk and risk management right across. And it's one of the things that we've talked about previously with risk management in right across where risk features in trading right across the spectrum.
Can I use your trading as an example?
Yeah.
Well, you're trading right, and in my view, you're an exceptionally successful trader. You are a brilliant trader, and you trade a product that goes sideways and then goes, and goes sideways and then goes, and having some involvement in some other products when gold's going sideways. I'm not saying that you should run out and buy Bitcoin, but I'm saying that actually having some other products that you're involved in when gold is going sideways is actually a really good distraction from the fact that gold's frustrating and going sideways. And no matter who you are, you've got to have a look at your portfolio and work out how do you make it work best for you. And again, I'm not telling anyone they should run out and buy Bitcoin, but I'm saying to anybody, I don't think they should be writing it off.
Yeah, don't write it. It's one of those things I keep looking at it, and I listen to Shukri every week, and it's just like, I've got to get my head around this. I've really got to get my head around this. And I will at some stage. But gold's been interesting. And as you said, gold's been bouncing around, and you and I have talked about it during the week where, it's really touched. Gold loves levels, as we've spoken about before. And gold came down and hit that 100 moving average, 100 EMA, and then the next day it came down and touched the S1 of the previous month. So it was just there. It was a previous horizontal level that was beautifully touched. And Paul, could you throw up a gold chart for me, please?
I'm just in the middle of seeing if I can get Chloe's kid in to chit chat after the show, Ainslie. And what do you need?
Sorry, gold chart. Let's have a look at that. We're still looking at Bitcoin there.
Look, we'll look at, we'll get you the gold chart, no problem at all. And I just think that maybe for it, what I might do is just grab, so I've got a couple of things on this. I might just grab a bit of my stuff off it for you if you like.
Thanks.
So,
but yeah, it was just there and it's bouncing around. And to be quite honest, I'm not keen to do anything until after Wednesday. I mean, look at that. It's been going sideways. So as you said, gold's been going sideways. We've had a couple of moves up and some, look at it. Hello. But during the week, I was able to use a move on oil. There was a move on oil short during the week. So gold was going sideways, wasn't really exciting me very much. And yeah, there were a few things happening in oil, and it broke the 105 had not 105. What was it? That I was talking again. Please excuse me. I've had a really, really long day with a lot of little teenage girls today, so it's been a lot of fun, but it was exhausting. But yeah, WTI took a nice little tumble during the week, and yeah. Oh, thanks, Helen. Thank you very much. Helen's just saying that I did a good job last week in your absence.
Oh,
thank you, Paul.
That's because you answered all the questions, and I skipped through a couple today.
Oh dear. I haven't done anything like that for a while, but yeah, it was good for the nerves. That I can tell you that. So yeah, so diversification, trying to make a meal out of something that's just not moving. And as I said, I mean, if you've got to turn your head sideways to try and see a trade set up, but we know what's happening. We spoke about this last week. But gold, look at it. It's just ka-ching, 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 drop back up and a little bit further. Yeah, and until we know what's happening, I can't give you anything to go with for the next couple of days. Like I said last week, I'd recommend just staying out, be patient, and it's just going to ride those levels. So,
right, looking at charts like this, Ainsley, quite often when I'm looking at the charts, I've got the old triangle on there and the little channel up, and and the moving average. Have a look at this, and it's just doing nothing, right?
It's very neat. It's very neat. But one of the ones that I do look for is I like to look for my ADX. The ADX is once it goes above 25, and if you apply the ADX indicator, which is the average directional index, to your charts, anything above, you can see it move to up, 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 up. Stop. There we go. Once it goes above 25, you're looking for a strengthened trend. So when you see that really nice big move there before it dropped back up down to, so it went up to the 2000 level, you can see it moving strongly above 25. And that's what we like to see. So once I see that, but as you can see now, you see the ADX at the moment on the right-hand side, it's just flat. And that just indicates, surprise, surprise, ranging. The market is ranging, but you can see that from the price action. So it's not going to help you very much at all. What we want to see is that flick up again and go in one direction or the other, whether that is a move and we see it go back up. And I'm going to beat on about this, and I know we talked about this earlier. Seasonality for November for the next couple of weeks is for gold to go down. And one of the key dates that I tend to look for each year for a nice trade for a fairly established rally is around the 16th or the 17th of December, which is not that far away now. But normally seasonality, we saw it, we normally expect it to come back down in November. What we didn't see last year is that it ranged for a long time. And I kept saying, well, I'm waiting for it to drop, and it didn't happen. And I sounded like a broken record, or somebody who didn't know what I was talking about. But when it hit its straps, middle of December, it hit its straps, as we know. So...
Yeah. Interesting time for this. I keep talking to people about your broadcast group and saying, just get in the broadcast group because December's coming, and you're the Christmas trader. You're I
know.
You're the one that delivers all the presents in December for us.
You were packing up and saying goodbye to everybody and having a holiday, and I said, "No, enjoy it," because this is when I sort of like start to have the sleepless nights, and not just because I'm being Santa Claus, but
you've got two teenage daughters. You always have Ainsley, you always have sleepless nights. It's part of the job, isn't it? I'm actually thinking, and I never do this, but I'm actually thinking, and one of the things I do, and we're all different, but I close my trades a few days before Christmas, and I don't come back till early January, and I have a proper clear break from the market, but. This year, I'm just thinking about joining you in gold and seeing if I can smash a little 100K out of there as well, Angie, because it looked like quite good fun to me. 20,000.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, I've got to say, you had you saw me trying to close my trades out that Monday morning because it's gold spiked, and I was able to close it, and you had front row seat to me trying to juggle it all and pull it all together, which was pretty stressful, as you know. dealing with different brokers all at the same time. It was, 10:05. The market had just opened in Australia, and bang, it was on for young and old. But getting to that point and scaling in properly, and managing the trade, it sounds all very nice at the end, but there's a bit of work, and as I said, you normally close your trade, your accounts down, have a good break, and that's when I've got to watch this, because this is something that I do. So it does really. Anybody who wants to sit up with me and watch it closely, or just check on your trades, so come along for the ride. It was worth it in the end, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think that's the thing, isn't it? And one of the things, Ainslie, that I think we've got to be really careful, because it's easy to just go, hey, look, there's a seasonal buy on the 16th of December when it goes crazy for 6 weeks, jump in and make the money. But I saw you do it, and that's not what you did, Ainslie. The entries that you took were quality entries. You took your time, you picked out the best ones. As you say, you scouted in the right places, and that is an art. And that's not something you learn in 15 minutes. That does take a little bit of work to do it. So, Ainslie, we've got gold going sideways. I don't think Pung needs in today, so I think you're doing oil as well. Shall we have a look at oil chart?
Oh, yeah. Like I said, while it was going sideways, I scattered across my other commodities, and as you can see, we had a nice drop this week. Yeah, so I took it off the top of the range. I almost did a Geoff on this one. Almost. I didn't go quite at the very top there, but I got it got to 34.90 something, and that first really big drop down.
Yeah.
I got out of that at 34.96, 97.
That's a good. I think I hit 34.93. We've been talking about this for a little while. That when it broke, I thought 34.74 was in focus. We didn't quite get there, but hope you grab some. If you got once you got this 4-hour bar below, I thought the next little jump down was pretty solid.
It was pretty strong. It was a pretty strong move, and that sort of came on the back of the announcement that the UK was starting to tighten up and lock down, and second wave, and France was just diabolical with the number of COVID cases, and then they went and broke the record again on Friday. Gotta love them. So everything was looking very diabolical, and the demand for oil was seen as dropping off, whilst we were looking, and we reviewed this last week. When you weren't here though, Paul. It was the US were trying to have increased the number of oil rigs from 180 to 211, which indicates an increase in supply. So you've got a falling demand with everybody shutting down, and then you've got the US increasing in supply. So
it was an important week, wasn't it? Because
unbelievable.
The week before, US numbers were well down because of the big storm that ran through the oil area.
In the Delta, the Hurricane Delta.
Production was way down.
Yeah, Hurricane Zeta, sorry.
There was a suggestion that some oil wells weren't going to come back online, but they clearly have come back online, and that did.
Yes, they have.
Really, give some confidence on supply, and that did push the price. And it was straight after that announcement of oil inventory, so we saw this move, right?
Yeah, and then it's just a combination of Europe going. But the interesting thing is China. As everybody's saying, well, China's back on board, and they COVID cases are in the blimp in the rearview mirror. But the thing is, we need to remember when oil was like $20 a barrel, China went hard. They stockpiled. They stockpiled a lot. And why wouldn't they? After being hit with oil being up around $60, $70 a barrel, and they had the opportunity to buy it at $20 a barrel, why wouldn't they? They've got undercover, they've got it stacked sideways under, caverns underwater, everything. It's all over.
I find it really weird, Ainslie. Sometimes the word at the start really impacts people's opinions on this kind of stuff. And, COVID, oil's down, China's stockpiling, naughty them, or they didn't have much of something, the price fell, and they thought they'd buy a shitload of it. How's that just not good common sense? Why wouldn't you do that if you were the country that could do it during the last COVID lockdown?
Yeah, I mean, it's just insanity. But anyway, we'll see how it goes. Yeah, Biden. The other thing was that Biden's not a big. He's not a big oil fan, which is also an interesting concept. So we'll see what happens to this.
On the bright side, Biden's 70 odd, and by tomorrow he will have forgotten what he thought today about it anyway. It's not a big deal. Hey, Ainslie, I do have to move us on because I've got Lloyd waiting and Geoff waiting, but hold on. Gold sideways.
Yeah.
We're looking for all to get below Thursday's bar, and when it's all on short again if we get below Thursday's bar, right?
Yeah, if it goes below Thursday's bar, you've got a nice level in there that it possibly will go down and have a look at. But you know, it is oil, and until we are completely green as a global community, oil's still oil, iron ore, coal. You know, hello, we're still using it, aren't we? It's not going to be switched off tomorrow. So it's something that we need to just work in the numbers. But yeah, gold, let's wait and see. I'm not doing anything on that until about Wednesday or Thursday.
Nice. Okay, Ainslie, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Lloyd, cheers. Sorry, Ainslie, thank you. Lloyd, currency strength. So let's have a look at some currency strength. I had another question for you. I can't think what it was. I was going to ask you something quite specific. But let's do currency strength to start with.
Okay. All right. Let me take the screens. Before I jump over to the currency strength, just have a bit of an update. If any of you actually took the VIX trade starting of the month, I will close my trade this coming Monday. Yeah. So I did mention that for the VIX, in the month of October before a presidential election, it should rise $5. It should rise by $5. So it did rise by $5. In fact, more than that. Yeah. So I have not had enough time to close my trade. So coming Monday, I will do it. Let me see. So once I do that, if I close at the price now, I'll have an almost 45% gain. Yeah, just for 1 month worth of trade for VIX. I think that's pretty good for me. So any of you,
you're a clever dude, buddy. I like it.
I have no intention to wait it throughout the election, so I think I'll close it just to bank in the money.
Cool. Guys, I'm hoping that for the team we'll have a chance to have a look at Chloe's baby in the chit chat afterwards. So do join. I will let you know if that's for sure or not a bit later on in the chat. Mate, lovely trade, mate. I think, you know, one thing I really like about you, one of the reasons we give you one of the YouTube shows is because you do things that the rest of us don't. And taking a $5 win on volatility is, you know, good on you, mate. Nice trade, 45%. Mate, lovely. Really love it.
The strategy still works, the once in a 4-year strategy.
Yeah. We'll test it again another 4 years from now, right?
Yep, we should. All right, so now on over to the currency indices. Now, for this week, for last week, I have to admit that all my longs analysis were wrong, but all my short analysis were correct. So I'm half right. Isn't that bad? Now, for this week, I'm a bit, the chart is a bit confusing to me at the moment because I don't have anything that's particularly strong at the moment. Yeah, I do have charts that show me weakness, but I have no chart that show me any strength in the first place. Yeah, so what it means to me that the upcoming week I'll be very cautious in trading because it might possibly mean that most of the currency might be in a ranging situation from now on, at least for the next week or so. That's what I suspect. Now, but still, in terms of the traditional strength and weaknesses analysis, pound I'll still place it on top, purely for the fact that there's a possibility that it might bounce off this trend line. And according to the MACD, although we see bearish bar, it is in fact weakening for the MACD, what it has shown me. So the possibility of it bouncing off this trend line is there. Yeah. Same for the Canadian index. Price has been ranging. It didn't really reach to the high of $77, but once price comes to the horizontal level, and whenever I see that price comes to horizontal level and there's a weakness of it, then that means it indicates to me that there's a possibility that price will actually bounce off that particular horizontal level. Yeah. So Powell and Cat, this two pair, I'll be watching it for any possible reversal price action if I'm trading this pairs. Dollar again, it's been in this range for quite some time. So I place it on top for this week, opposite of last week, because it seems that the MACD has shown me that price will continue strengthening all the way, possibly up to 95 level. Now, horizontal level for the euro, it has held, so price will continue weakening all the way to 115. Yeah, I don't see any indication that it might do so otherwise. Kiwi, very, very nice bounce off at a supply and demand zone. Then I'll just keep it horizontal level. So price is gonna, I've actually placed a short trade on Kiwi, so I hope that it will drop all the way to 65. Yen, now this is a thing interesting to me. So if you zoom out at yen, you can see that price in the past, it did break 95, but not for very long. Once it does that, it will actually get whacked back down again. So what we have here recently is that yen did break 95 again. You can see that almost formed a double top, and at the same time, we do have a divergence coming in. Yeah. So with regard to that, I will actually be shorting yen for the upcoming week if I have any reversal price action at that. So this is more of a reversal trade already. Swiss, very, very nice bounce off the horizontal level, continue weakening down the horizontal level. Now, I will still be thinking that Swiss will be weakening, but once price reach this level, which is 108, I'll be taking profits off. Yeah. So according to the past, there's maybe an indication that price will be bouncing off this level. And finally, Aussie, I think for the past 3 weeks, this has been a pair that is kindest to me. It's just been bouncing up and down within this wedge. So as of now, I still think that Aussie is going to be weak, but just that due to 70, very nice $70 level, price might have a chance of actually coming back to the trend line before getting whacked back down again. Yeah. So any of you who is in an Aussie trade, I suggest you to actually take some profits off before it strengthens up to the trend line and get whacked back down. So these are my analysis for this week.
Cheers, Lloyd. Thank you very much. Still can't remember what I was going to ask you. I did have something in particular I was going to ask you. It might have been about the VIX trade, but I don't think it was. If it comes back, I will drop in and check with you. Let's get to Geoff and do some technical analysis as we go through.
G'day.
Hey, mate. How you doing?
I'm going okay. What a massive week we've got coming up in the trading world. It's not only an election, there's a whole lot of other stuff going on, including, of course, we start with the Aussie on Tuesday, which is a very, very traditional day in Australia, where not only do we have
the currency exchange that day in the great country.
There'll be a lot of currency exchange, a lot of champagne, a lot of prawns, a lot of oysters will go south as well.
And
will be recycled.
The venue's closed, right? So no one in. It'll be the normal.
Yeah.
Pub getting a sweepstake type of thing, like that. That real family, extended friends get together. It's a huge day, isn't it? It's an amazing day, Melbourne Cup Day in Australia.
Yes, and Melbourne's just opened in time to spread the virus as wide and far as they possibly can.
They're not letting people in, are they? No cases in Australia.
No, not into the racetrack, but they're allowed to go and visit people and have parties, I think.
Oh, nice.
That'll do it.
I do hope that if they do that, they're encouraged to socially distance and those kind of things. It'd be nice if we can turn one day of 0 cases into a couple of weeks of 0 cases, because then I can go to Australia without doing quarantine on the way home, which would be awesome.
Indeed. I'm thinking the same. I can go to the Big Island and come back.
Yeah, mate, it's been a while, hasn't it? Mate,
it is.
So you're going to join me in the US election show Wednesday. I think we're going to start at 1:30 Sing. We'll get more details out tomorrow. We'll get a link into all the groups tomorrow if everyone wants to join. We'll get it on Facebook, YouTube. We'll get the links everywhere. And we'll be having a look and seeing if we can work out who's going to win this election and how we can make some money from it as well, right?
Yeah, and it's going to be an interesting exercise. Hopefully the timing of it makes sense. And, well, it makes sense from now, but hopefully we will have numbers that mean something. And the interesting part about all that's going to be sorting out what is right, what is wrong. I'm looking forward to what every other person on the panel is going to say, frankly. I've got my own opinions, and I probably won't share them here because we're talking technicals. But I'm showing, hopefully you can see the dollar index chart. I'm having a little bit of difficulty knowing which screen that I am actually sharing right now. Can you see the dollar index chart?
Yeah, yes, we can. Dollar index chart, yes, we can.
Awesome. Okay, so if I'm trading the dollar index, I'm short this every single day of the week underneath that bar there, which of course was the monthly bar, not the closing month, but the new month. Sorry, the month before. So what was that? September's bar. And to me, I think the election will obviously make a difference here, and it becomes a buy if we get back above that level, which is a trade line for me, probably a trend line as well. But there's also a horizontal level going through there, and I think on the daily chart there's a resistance trend line coming down there. So as I said, I'm short this every day of the week normally, but I'm trying to steer clear of the dollar until we do get an election result, or certainly something that looks like an election result, so that we can get a proper directional bias, rather than what we think might happen. We can trade what we think might happen, but it's going to be a little bit risky. So bring that mental picture back to the Aussie versus the US dollar. And whilst I'm not on a monthly chart here, I'm on a daily chart. Let's have a look at the monthly chart and see what that actually looks like. And not surprisingly, it's quite the reverse of that. So I'm long again every day of the week here, the Aussie, looking at the technical picture. We have broken down this intermediate trend. Well, we burst through it. Basically, if you have a look at this, 2, 4, 5 months of very strong buying through 2020, and that on the back of the weakness of the US dollar, of course. But of course, you've got to take into consideration exactly what, in my opinion, and I shouldn't talk fundamentals here because we're talking technicals, but I have to throw it in that, we spoke about zero COVID yesterday. Gee whiz, there's a lot of countries around the world that would like to say that. Not particular or not specifically anywhere, except if you look at Europe, and we haven't even spoken about the States. So I think they've got 90-odd thousand a day or something like that. It's just incredible numbers. And we've got that many in Australia and New Zealand. To me, that's got to mean something from an economic point of view. And coming out of coronavirus, I would think, and when that is, who knows, I would think that the Aussie and the Kiwi are in very, very strong positions to be worth something. So on that basis, on a monthly chart, again, I've got to be a buyer here. I can't be a seller, because we've got above that very, very strong horizontal level, which of course is a psychological level as well, 70 cents. We've come back and retested it. But from my mind, this is a buying market. This is not a selling market. This is a retracement at this point. Of course, there's going to be a lot thrown into question with the election, and I think we'll see a fair bit of volatility around that. So I don't think I'd like to be trading the short term, but on a longer term basis, I've got to be an Aussie bull versus the US dollar, I'm afraid. And I know the market has probably priced in my opinion, the rate cut, which I still disagree with. And I would really like to be in a net long Aussie position come Tuesday, because if they don't cut this interest rate, then I can't see any reason why the Aussie won't just go pretty hard, because we've already priced in that cut as far as I can see anyway. It doesn't matter what I think, because it's quite dangerous to think that they're not going to have that interest rate cut unless you're prepared to put a high risk trade in the market. And I'm looking for one. So I'll be very, very keen to see that. I don't want to trade the Aussie at the moment, to be honest, against the US dollar, because I think in the short term, because I think there will be a whole lot of volatility. And if you get it wrong, you're just going to be taken out very quickly. Now, I do see, of course, this very, very strong level, and I know Paul H is very, very keen on that to break. And I think short term, that's quite possible and quite viable, and a trade worth risking. I don't have a problem with that. But as I said, in the volatility stakes, I think we're going to see this up and down here a little bit either side of that line until we do get that election result, or certainly until the interest rate announcement on the Aussie. So it's a massive week for the Aussie, not least of which, of course, those two things that I mentioned. But in the background, I've still got COVID going on, and I think COVID is not bad for the Aussie at all. So we'll see how that pans out.
Tuesday's going to be an amazing day, isn't it, Geoff? I mean, if you
yeah.
don't get an interest rate rise, you can see it spike. I mean, if
I
you
don't
don't
get a spike. I think it'll go. I think it'll go.
Spike the other way.
I don't know that you'll get a spike out of the interest rate cut if it comes. Because
I think if you don't get an interest rate cut, you'll see a spike, right? There's there's an expectation of it, right? If we get an interest rate cut, there'll be little reaction to it. It'll be muted. Depending on the statement, the statement's always more important. But if there's not a cut, you could well see a bit of a spike in the Aussie.
As I say, I don't think it'll be a spike.
The other way on the US election, we could see a big day.
Massive. Absolutely massive. But if the interest rate doesn't come, if the interest rate cut doesn't come, I don't see a spike. I see a big rally to go on with this, because this has got to mean something, right? It's broken a few levels, horizontal and trend-wise, and it's now come back to those levels. I'm quite bullish, the Aussie, quite bullish for those reasons. So we'll see. It will be chopped up this week. There's no question about that. Definitely steering clear of it on the short-term timeframes. That's for sure. But that said, get away from the US dollar. And after the interest rate announcement, again, I see from a technical perspective, this is the weekly chart on Aussie versus the yen. And I see here a very, very strong signal. Well, signal's not quite the right word, but a technical scenario and setup that suggests to me once again that we are going long here. If you want to call that a double bottom, I'm happy for that to be the case, but there was certainly one here at the time. We got up to these highs around the 106 mark, and then we've fallen back away. Broken that level, that strong horizontal level through there that you can see around about the 74, 75 mark. Now we've come back below it again, but in the meantime, a little inverted head and shoulders sitting there potentially. I can't trade this long right now, but if it gets back above that level there, I think a nice little higher low off the backside of that ascending channel, if you like, would be the way to go for me. I don't think it's fait accompli by any stretch because of the fact that we've now come back underneath that horizontal level, but I do like it. And if we can find maybe, I don't know, a daily chart that suggests that we are going to bounce off that level, then maybe that's the way to go. But the daily chart looks a little bearish at the moment, you would have to say. It's come off the top. There's a strong level through there that hasn't been retested, interestingly. But it does look a little bit bearish at the moment till we get to that line, which of course represents the bottom of that channel. So no trade just now, but I'll certainly be looking for that bounce to occur. And if we could manage to get back above the 74.50 mark and retest it, I think there's a trade for us there as well. On Aussie yen, I'm going to do one more Aussie, and I think this is probably the best of them. Euro Aussie short, and by this chart you can see, even if you go to the monthly chart, you can see that massive spike that we had through COVID. And we've come back into that range that really we've been sitting in for a couple of years, to be honest. And that level's been very, very hounded, and it's held. It's been historically a very, very strong level as well. As you can see, sent us up there in global financial crisis times. We came straight back underneath it, and we've been hanging around it for some time until that crisis again. So crisis here. But outside of both of those levels, or both of those big breakouts, really this is a ceiling as far as I'm concerned, or very, very close to that anyway, around about the 167 mark. We look to have come off that, and that's a beautiful candle for me to trade short actually on the monthly chart, but I think there's probably better opportunities that won't tie your money up for so long, including that weekly chart there. Be interested to see where the monthly pivot finishes up tomorrow. It may well be just under that level, which is going to make it tough to trade that short, to be fair. So I may have to wait on that to something like a daily chart. You can see that we've come back inside the range. this range here that we've been in since June. And that candle there is also very, very interesting to me. Again, I want to see where the monthly pivot is tomorrow before I make a decision on that, but that's almost a tradable bar if the monthly pivot were to be up here somewhere. Don't know that can go that high, but maybe it can. Maybe it can go just about to the top of the range, and that does make that interesting for me. Also, pertinent, if you like, will be the smaller time frames as we come back inside that range. If we can sustain it back underneath here, you'll be looking for price to get back in here. There's also already a lower high sitting there in probably spades. It just keeps coming, but I'll be looking for us to hit a support level, maybe this one here around about the 164.70 mark, then come back off it, then give us the lower high once we're underneath that 165.70 mark that I spoke of a little bit before. So I'd like to see this come down first, then go back up, fail to take out the top of this range and the highs, of course, and then come back short. That would be Euro Aussie. Let's get away from the Aussie for my fourth chart, which is CAD Yen. Now, you guys are probably sick of me banging on about Euro CAD and how I just want to get short Euro CAD, and I think we have done 9 or 10 times in the last few months. I can't bank any meaningful money on that. We keep getting TP1s, and on one occasion we got TP2, but it just keeps coming back and taking us out. But let's get away from Euro CAD and start to talk CAD Yen. Now, I've had a little bit of a, I don't know, soft spot, I suppose, for the CAD, going back to that Euro CAD scenario. And when I look at this monthly chart, I can see that we've broken back above a support trade line, coming off a double bottom here. It's actually a pretty strong base that we've formed since the global financial crisis, actually back in 2008. So we've been basing out here each and every time around about that level, I suppose, maybe a little bit higher in there somewhere, which is about 74, let's call it 74, 75 mark. And once again, we've come back off that, and we've gone into a range that you can see in here. But we've also put up a fairly decent example of a false break of that support trade line. So bounce back into the area above there. We've come back off it. We haven't retested that trend line yet, and that's kind of my target. That's what I've got in my mindset as we go into the new week. So that's the monthly chart. Pardon me, the weekly chart, where we've started to form that range that I spoke of. We're coming off a beautiful tweezer bottom here that we've been looking at for quite some time on the weekly chart. That has not really converted as yet. We have put in a higher low here. We're putting in a higher high and then gone straight into range. Now that range on a weekly chart is even more pronounced, of course, on a daily, and that's where I'll probably be looking to trade it. But that's already probably a tradable proposition for me. If you wanted to take that, I think the risk to reward is very poor, and that's why I wouldn't be trading that on a weekly chart. But I think if you take a look at this by the end of the week, maybe even this week, you might find that price, if it comes back to this level, has gone pretty much straight to the top of that range. So I'll be trying to take advantage of that, and that's the range, the same range on a daily chart. We've come a little bit of a bounce off that level. I'll be looking for this to go wherever we find a pivot or wherever we find a horizontal level from which to bounce off again. So it's not really, I don't really see a horizontal level, frankly. So I'll probably be looking for a pivot or a trend line or something of that nature to get me a bounce once we do rally, if we do rally. Maybe it's the weekly pivot that comes down or the monthly pivot that comes down. We bounce off that, then put in a higher low in this vicinity, and then I'll be looking to trade that to the top of the range, but probably even beyond, given the fact that we do have all sorts of reasons to go back to this trend line, as I said, not least of which because we've got this big tweezer bottom here, and we're at that very, very strong base. So I'm a fan trading CAD Yen long, and I will be looking to trade or to pick up that higher low if we do get one in this week, probably on the 4-hour and daily charts. You'll notice that I've steered clear as much as I can from the US dollar because I don't think that's good value for me right now. I think, as I said, the choppiness that we're likely to experience in the next 2 or 3 days won't suit my short-term trading. I'll be looking for that perhaps on bigger time frames. And once we do get a result in A, the Aussie interest rate, and B, the election, then I think there's going to be some good trading ahead. It may not be this week, but I think next week, once everything settles down, we should be in very, very good shape to take advantage of what should be new trends, I would have thought. And if they're not, they're ranges, and that means we have some fun anyway. So that's where I'm at, mates. I'm an Aussie bull, obviously with caveats around that, not least of which is the interest rate announcement, but of course the US dollar election in terms of Aussie US dollar. But I'm also a bull Aussie against pretty much everything else.
Mate, I like it. It's nice to see some different opinions on the show. I think that's what it's all about. And at the end of the day, price action will unfold during the week and give us some clues to make it a bit clearer which way to go. Look, I'm going to wind the show up. We're nearly at 11 o'clock. We've been at this for nearly an hour 45. I'd like to keep it to about an hour and a half. But before I do, I want to remind you guys, guys and girls, all of something. The talk is that if Trump loses, that he won't secede power, and he will create legal arguments to stay in power. I would just remind you guys that the next president is due to be inaugurated on the 21st of January. The 21st of January. We've got all of November, all of December, and all of January to get a clear, about 12 weeks to get a clear result. You can do a lot of counting in 12 weeks. You can go back and recount a lot of things in 12 weeks. Personally, I think it's a storm in a teacup. Honestly, at the end of the day, the Electoral College will announce a winner, and that person will be the President of the United States. And there can be legal challenges, but only to such a degree in the US. You cannot recount every electorate in the US. You've got to have a reason. And honestly, on the 21st of January, I imagine we'll have a president. Either one will be sworn in. And remember that we won't see a change in leadership or policy until then. So suggestions that things actually change on the election day, well, they give us an indication of what's coming. But Trump will still run America until the 21st of January, from my understanding, when either him or Biden will get sworn in as the new leader of that country. So I think we've got plenty of time to sort out the detail if there's a few things. I do hope, of all things, there's a great old saying about elections, right? The problems with elections is they don't give you what you want; they give you what you vote for. I really hope whatever the Americans decide, they vote clearly for it in this election. It'll make life in the rest of the world a little bit easier for the next few months if they do. Have a great week, guys. As I said, we're in Wednesday. Look, you've got new times on Monday. We've got the US session starting at 9:15. I think at 8:30 Monday we've got Lloyd in and Orlando Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We've got Shukri at about 7:45. Or pushed back a little bit to better times for you. Those show times will be put out day after day. We'll be in Wednesday at 1:30 p.m. Singapore to start talking US election. Keep the weekend of November 21 free. Looks like a big weekend. We've got a lot of people speaking and some really good people speaking. It'll be an interesting, there'll be some trading stuff and some diverse stuff. So make sure you join us for that. And most of all, guys, stay calm this week. Make good decisions. Stay calm. Make good decisions. It's always the mantra for trading. From me as your host, I'd like to thank, first of all the presenters. It's been fantastic to have you along today. PH, our guest, always nice when Julian drops in as well. We've had Alexis in earlier as well. We've had Ainslie on gold. We've had Shukri on crypto. We've had Lloyd on currency strength and analysis. We've had Geoff in. To all of you, thanks very much for joining us, and to the listeners, once again, thanks to have you guys with us. If you're looking in chit chat, I'll be in chit chat at 15:15. I've got to do a call first, so I'll be in chit chat at 15:15. I'm going to have a quiet bourbon tonight. If you guys are around, we'll see you there. If not, we'll see you soon after. Cheers, everyone. Have a good night. Thanks for being with us.